YouTube. So occasionally I'll do this on some of our other, like on Facebook. But basically, it's just going to build stuff. If you have any questions, ask. I'll do my best to answer them. Uh, so for the next probably, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 minutes, I'm just going to be building stuff. So right now, this is the carriage for one of our grip machines. Um, this is just what I do at night, guys. That, sell stuff during the day, design equipment, just be me. So any questions, let me know. If anybody's enthusiastic about uh, having a business, selling online, learning to fabricate, ask away, open book. I'll tell you anything that I know. If I don't know, I'll make up a good story to try to go along with it. But I'll tell you, I don't know. Uh, y'all take care. Hopefully somebody says, hey, what's up? Hope everybody had a great Christmas. If you didn't have a good Christmas, uh, send me a message and I'll talk to you and we'll figure out what it takes to get you a good Christmas. No promises, just enjoy, guys. So I'm going to throw my headphones on and do my nightly routine of being me. My son's not feeling well, so he's not helping out in the shop today. The wife probably will a little bit later. She's about Christmas out, so she had to take a little bit of a break. All right, contact. One down. So here is, got some questions out here. I'm going to scoop up here so I can see you guys. You speak French? I absolutely do not. What's your best-selling product? Best-selling product right now is a grip machine that goes back and forth. So sometimes we'll get spurts where something gets extremely popular, and I have no idea how that happens. It just happens. So right now, for about the last year, it's been our grip machines. Here's a mini version. So this is one of the smaller versions. But the ones I'm working on tonight are larger versions. But in the past, it's been Rhino bars, it's been thick grip dumbbells, it's been rack offsets, things that bring the rack in. Like if you got a rack and you squat and having your hands out to the side is uncomfortable, it brings the J-cups closer in so that you can rack the bar. That was really popular for a while. So it just varies, all kinds of different products. Man, I wish I could speak French. That's something that I've not ever. My wife wanted me to learn to speak French back whenever we first started dating. This is back in high school. I tried for a little bit and I just gave up. I'm like, man, I don't even speak English well, so there's no way I can master French. See, yeah, the mini, Shane says the mini version looks pretty cool. Yeah, man, the mini version, I don't have them up available to purchase anywhere yet, but they go up to 200 pounds. I've got two different versions. I got the mini version, and then I've got like a micro version. The mini version it goes up to 200 pounds. Most people aren't going to get to 200 pounds. Not unless they really are dedicated to training grip. Most people can get to 150, 175 pounds with decent dedication, but anything over that, you're getting into the area of where you're like these elite level grip athletes. So it's a small footprint. I think it'll sell really well. And then we still got the bigger machine that like the ones I'm building tonight that they go up to 450 pounds. So they're for people that's, just insane grip athletes. But that's what the smaller version, I'm going to put it out pretty soon. It's going to be priced hopefully where everybody can afford it. And the micro, Shane says he's got the bigger version. The bigger version is by far, like if you really think that you're going to be dedicated to grip, or if you're in a gym where a lot of people want to really test themselves, then I like the bigger version. If you've got a small home gym and you need to maximize your space, that's one of the reasons we're coming out with this smaller version. And then the micro version, Willow, my daughter, has got into doing some climbing, and the micro version fits her hands a little bit better. So it's, let's see. I don't have one of the micro versions here, but the micro version is small enough for a kid that's, my daughter's 9, so I'd say from 5 to probably 12 or 13, it will fit their hand really well, and it's just a really small version that they can train with and get lots of use and develop their grip strength for baseball, football, whatever they're getting into. All right, I'm gonna get back to welding. So this is one of the carriages. Make several of these tonight. So always check my parts. It's one of the things that I've learned early on is part of the process of making sure that you have a decent product is to always check the dimensions on your parts. So you make sure that everything is what it's supposed to be. This is a process, like if anybody wants to work in a factory, a lot of times they have the quality control people. They are supposed to check parts and stuff, and so whenever they get to the assembly person, they don't have to check as much dimensions and stuff. But whenever you're starting out and you're in a small shop, and like we are, you want to make sure you catch something that if it's off before it gets welded together. So for our purposes, we'll check most parts, or we'll get one and set it up and compare it to it. And how you tack stuff up has a lot to do with, so whenever you tack things together, a tack is just a small little weld, but it tends to move stuff. So I tack the back side of this. If I was to make this tack first, you know how things will expand and contract versus solid versus liquid. So whenever you heat this metal up, you're turning it into a liquid. Well, then whenever it starts to cool and solidify, it tries to contract, and that will move this part. So I tack it on the back side, knowing that it's going to pull it, and then whenever I go to weld this other one, it's easier for me to pull it back in place. It would be a whole lot harder for me to try to push it into place. So that's why the tacks that I just made, that's why I made them that way. Telling all the secrets, man. That way, if you want to go out and make grip machines, guess what? You'll have the secret sauce. All right, I may keep one or two secrets to myself. Now I'm going to cross square this and just check to see. That should be spot on. I've made so many of these, I know exactly what it should be by cross squaring one side. But to cross square, if you haven't built anything before, you just go from one side to the other side, and you should be exactly the same. So a square, you should have the exact same measurements. If one side is off, say if it's tilted, then you're going to have a longer measurement here than you will on the other side. Another one down. One of the things that's kind of cool is whenever you're welding, I learned this from a guy that's an artist. His name's Larry Elmore. If you ever looked at Dungeons and Dragons, he's a local guy that he developed. Oh, it's going to sound like it's kind of crazy. He is the guy that developed what the modern idea of a dragon looks like, the big scary creatures. He worked for Dungeons and Dragons and developed that dragon concept. He's like a local hero. But I was watching him paint this big dragon canvas one day, and he was sending it to like Australia. Huge, huge piece. And I always wondered how he made in the middle of a canvas, let's say you've got like a 4 by 8 foot canvas, and you have to paint in the middle of it. I always was curious how somebody could keep their hands steady whenever they were doing that. And what he done is he used sticks. And I'm trying to think if I've got a good way to show that or demonstrate that. So imagine I'm wanting to paint on a canvas. He would use this stick to move his hand in and out to paint. You can do the same thing whenever you weld. So whenever you see me lay my hand up here like this and go over the top, instead of trying to freehand a weld, you can use something to prop it up. So I could, if I had to make a big weld somewhere, I could use something like this to help balance my welding gun as I'm making a weld in the middle of something. So anyway, I thought somebody out there might think that was interesting. I know for me it changed the way that I do a lot of things whenever I'm fabricating. This is the jig that we use to make the bases for the grip machines. So I have to redo a jig like this ever so often, but the way this jig works is it holds the parts a distance away from each other so that they'll fit easily over the square tubing whenever you bolt it together. Pretty easy, simple thing to do. There is a whole, I'm going to go Nerdville on you here for a second. There is a, the size of a hole and the size of a bolt going through a hole, how tight that tolerance is. There is a whole, there's a whole thing about that. So most people don't understand a 2-inch hole. You can't put a 2-inch bolt in a 2-inch hole. Okay, that's saying, what do you mean you can't put a 2-inch bolt through a 2-inch hole? Well, they both try to occupy the same space. So if you put a 2-inch, try to put a 2-inch bolt in a 2-inch hole, they're both 2 inches, so neither one of them will fit. So how much of a leadway or how much of a difference between the two and how that affects the strength of the materials, it's a whole freaking field of science in itself. So I want to buy your Farmer Walk handles, the multi-grip version. This is Shane. I like the idea of the shorter length. Do you have any in stock? I don't have any in stock, but I have all the material cut up. So what we do most of the time is we'll have maybe a few of something in stock, but around Christmas we get slam hammered. I could have you a set out within 5 days probably, maybe quicker, because all the material's cut up. We just we don't make them up and store them, because once I try to cut stuff so I can use it for multiple things. So all the materials cut up for the Farmer Walk handles, the minis and the multi-grip. Just a matter of actually putting them together and coating them, which I can do that in 5 days or less and have them shipped out to you. So if you decide you want a set of those, I think they're on the website. If not, send me a message and I will send you an invoice and we will get you a set out before this time next week. I thought I'd lost my nuts, guys, but I found them. So I've got a really good friend. He is from India. He's a mechanical engineer. Hi, do you ever work on bearings in your equipment, like a Rolling Thunder handle? Yes, I've done those before. If so, do you have any tips? I've heard they shatter if welded. So pressing them in is an option. I don't weld on bearings. I know some people do that. I don't weld on bearings because you're going to shorten the life of the bearing. It's not a good idea. What I do anytime I do anything with a bearing on it, I usually machine out the steel to fit the bearing. So the bearing will fit inside of the handle. And then you've got a couple ways that you can do that after you put the bearing in there. Sometimes you can crimp them. I've crimped them before. So a crimp is just where you crimp the outside to hold the bearing. The absolute best way to do a bearing, in my opinion, is to cut a groove. So the bearing will go in, you'll cut a groove, and then you'll put a clip in there. It's just the clip keeps the bearing in place. That's what you find in most automotive applications. It's the best way to do it. Not very many people do it because anytime you add machining processes to something, it adds a little bit of cost to it. So a lot of times I'll give somebody two options on something like that. But the Rolling Thunders are really, they're an interesting piece. And the reason I don't make those anymore, and I never made that many of them, is because to do it right is a little bit harder to do, and there's just so many people on the market now that makes that type of thing. It's like you're trying to compete against people that's doing something like you're talking about, welding on a bearing, or they're using bushings, or I've even seen them where they've just got washers welded on two ends and a piece going, bar going through some washers. I mean, it kind of works. But yeah, if you want one of the Rolling Thunder style attachments, I'll build you one. That would be more of a custom thing, so you'd be looking at probably 4 to 6 weeks, and that's, you know, that kind of changes daily, but this time of year it's 4 to 6 weeks. But it would be custom, so it could be any way that you wanted it, any length of handle. Some of my favorite ones are actually the longer handle ones. That way you can do two hands versus one hand. Anyway, I've messed the threads up on my bolts. I'm surprised how, a lot of people don't know what a Rolling Thunder is. That's one of those things that's a niche market. That's a really useful tool. That if you know what it is, and you're kind of speaking the language of a whole sport there that most people don't know even exists. I've talked to people all the time about grip strength, and they don't know there's grip strength athletes. They have no idea that there's people who are athletes in grip strength. So let's see what we got here. Good to know. Thank you. Best trap bars are made by this company. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you very, very much. The trap bars that I build, I mean, we've lifted, I think the heaviest we went on one of our trap bars is like 15,000 pounds, I think. And I don't think you're going to find a trap bar on the market that will lift anywhere close to what ours will. But a lot of that has to do with weld prep, and we don't make that many trap bars anymore. I think the only place we actually have them on sale for is on our website. I've made some open-ended trap bars that are pretty cool, though. I don't know if Pat Sosko, I custom made one for him a while back, and I have a really cool design for a trap bar. I just haven't turned it loose yet because it's going to be copied as soon as I put it out. I know it will. And it's a very unique design on a trap bar. But I will release it one of these days. I tell you, I don't know if anybody remembers, like, the Linebacker, whenever we came out with it, but we came out with that Linebacker, came out with the name and everything on it, and then people started copying it, copying everything from the name to, they actually used somebody else's design and the name that we had. So there was another company come out with one that was a little bit different, done the same thing, worked the same way, but the design was a little bit different. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. I like their take on it. And they named theirs something else. They named theirs the Wishbone. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then another company come out with one, and they liked our Linebacker name, and they used the other company's Wishbone design. I'm like, come on, guys. So stuff like that. I know it seems petty, but whenever you go through the trouble of designing something and putting it out, and it's so quickly just, if it is successful, it's knocked off really quickly. If it isn't very good, then, I mean, you've put forth the effort to try to bring it into the world. And it's like somebody reaps the positives and they have no downside. What's the downside to stealing? If you're out here stealing from the Walmart, then there's a big downside because, good chance you're going to go to jail or get banned from Walmart. But if you're out here just ripping off products and stuff that other people make, there's really not much of a downside. A small company like mine's not going to be able to take you to court, especially if you're a larger company, so that don't happen. But anyway, talking about stuff like that makes me sad. Actually pisses me off a little bit too. But the trap bar, since I know that nobody in here will, since we're friends and we're not going to tell on each other. So here's the deal with the trap bar. So all the trap bars on the market right now that I've seen, they don't let you vary the width of the handles. And you get a lot of shear force on your shoulders. So if I'm using a trap bar and my arms are out here and say I'm a littler fellow, then that puts a lot of shear on your arm. You really want the trap bar where that whenever you're standing here, that your arms hang naturally. So, and that's what this trap bar is gonna do. You can adjust the width of the handles really quickly and really easily. So if you go, if you're, let's say you and your friend are squatting nearly the same weight on the trap bar, but your friend is of a smaller build or a larger build, it's going to be more advantageous to him and his shoulder health to quickly just move the handles to the position that fits him best. And that's what this bar will do, is it'll let you adjust the handles to fit you. It's kind of a way of getting a custom built trap bar, because that's usually one of the most requested things whenever somebody requests I build a custom trap bar for them, is they want the handle width to be exactly what they want it to be. Sometimes they want the handle angles to be turned a little bit, but mainly they want, it's because they've never picked up a trap bar that didn't hurt their shoulders. So they're sacrificing, maybe they don't like the deadlift because of their lower back, because of their knees, because their body anatomy doesn't fit deadlifting off a bar that well. So the trap bar is a better option, but then they run into the handle width don't fit their shoulders. So it's like they're robbing Paul to pay Peter. And so that's what this trap bar design does. It makes it, the handles are super quick, super easy. They just index in and out, lock them where you want, and you can have a custom fit on the trap bar without having to pay a custom fit price or waiting the amount of time it takes to get a custom trap bar. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get back to work. It's the first time I've done a live on YouTube, and I want to start doing more stuff like this because this is the time of year that we're actually in the shop and busiest the most, and you can't do anything outside, so might as well come in the shop and hang out with us. If anybody has any questions about anything, put them in the comments on this video, and I'll go back through and definitely answer stuff. I appreciate everybody that's been with us and purchased from us. You guys have been able to offer me and my family a life and a career that, coming from a small town in Kentucky like we're at, the jobs, if I was to try to build fitness equipment for people around here, I would have maybe 4 clients, and that'd be it. But being able to sell to the whole world and then have the support of people, that is, it's allowed us to live a life and work together in a way that would have never been possible for either my father or my grandfather. It's beyond grateful, beyond thankful. I appreciate every one of you guys. Shane, definitely welcome to hang out anytime. Hey, Sean, looking forward to the lever curl bar and I'm not sure if you're the one that ordered the lever curl bar yesterday, but it went out today. And I don't remember the ship time, but the tracking, you should have it. And dude, look forward to getting that in your hands and let me know what you think and feel about it. And if you don't like it, let me know, and I'll build you another one and do whatever I have to do to make you like it. That sounds so wrong. All right. Cool. He says, "Yup, that's me." One of the things I love is orders come through on my phone. So anytime somebody buys something from Amazon, we ship everything from here. We don't do any of the fulfilled by Amazon stuff. We ship everything here. And every time orders comes in, I like looking to see where they come from. And I mean, to me, that's like so crazy. Today we shipped out around 20 things, I think, about 20 items a day, roughly. And we shipped to Pennsylvania, 2 items to California, 1 to Wisconsin, a couple to Texas, 1 to Florida. Sent something to Rhode Island. Hardly ever do we send something to Rhode Island, but it's like we sent something to Rhode Island. To me, it's part of it's part of a community out there of people that work out and do things and are in a certain lifestyle, that the community of that kind of just, it transcends one place. It's so big, and a lot of times it really surprises me, the amount of places, because I'm still blown away that somebody in like in California hears about our small shop here in Kentucky and is able to just, buy something and me send it out to them. And like I said, my mother had an upholstery shop. Okay, I grew up in an upholstery shop, and she done incredible work. Still, of all the upholstery work that I've ever seen, my mother, she done top level stuff. But she was in such a small place and small area that there's no way that she could get paid enough to even make a decent living. So, we struggled, even though her work was top notch. But and that's what blows me away now is, things have changed so much with the internet and the way that, that you can just make contact with people and your work can be appreciated. There's no doubt in my mind, if my mother was still doing upholstery work, if she was still capable of doing it, she'd basically burn her hands and her arms out, doing so much sewing. Because sewing is really hard. I don't know if anybody's ever used a sewing machine before, but you've got this arm on a sewing machine, and you've got to push through all the material that you are going to sew through one side or the other of the sewing machine. So we had this contract with the state. My mom got this contract with the state to do boat covers for the state of Kentucky. And I forget how many hundred boat covers that it was. But a boat cover has a stitch right down the middle of it. And she had to stuff, well, I helped her, but it was extremely hard job. And I think that job was the one that kind of done her in, because after that job she really started dialing stuff back. But there's no doubt in my mind, should things be in her time, if she had had access to the internet and people saw the level of work that she was turning out, she would have been able to make a great living for herself. So anyway, just that's one of the small things about the internet that people sometimes, that's not from a generation that didn't have access to it and didn't have access to be known all over the country or all over the world by their persistence and the quality of work that they're willing to put out. That's such an advantage for any young person nowadays. It's it's something that generations before just didn't have. So I wish everybody that was young would embrace that more, you know, because if you do want to excel at anything and put forth the effort to do it and put yourself out there, there's a good chance you may not be a billionaire, you may not be a millionaire, but there's a really good chance that you can make a living for yourself that is a very respectable living. So anyway, Sean says farmers sandwich with different handles is far apart. Yeah, I, the multi grips with the two different handles on each side. The first version I came out with those had handles that was like this, and it worked, but it wasn't as good. The only downside to the ones that have the thick grip on one side and the smaller one on the other side is it changes the pickup height. So it's a little bit, the pickup height is a little bit different than if you were doing an official strongman event and you had the pickup height, because it's 16 inches at strongman events. So if you were doing strongman events, you would be picking them up from a higher height than you will on the multi grips. Other than that, you know, I can't think of any other innovation I would like better. You know, possibly making top loading. I've messed with top loading farm walk handles on and off. And I've messed with top loading farm walk handles that turn into frames and things like that. Those are interesting. But as far as something that's is simple, got a good utility, easy to go from thick grip to a normal grip, the multis are what I like the best. So went through 3 iterations of designs before I come up with that one, and I think that's the one I've stuck with. All right, guys, I'm wrapping up. Appreciate you all. Any questions or anything, let me know, and you all take care.